Welcome to On and Off the Mic. I'm Mike Corey. In this episode, got a chance to catch up with my good friend Steve Lenox. I always like going back in the day and talking to people when I first started in broadcasting. We landed in Delaware at the same time. I'm in 1999 calling Delaware football and basketball on the radio. He's doing minor league baseball. Just a great guy. Now he's with us on ESPN calling college baseball and more. We had a chance to talk about some baseball stories from back in the day, getting a little bit older now. It's been 20 years. I can only believe that, how long we've known each other. And then also how much sugar we put in coffee and that are in other soft drinks. Hope you enjoyed this episode. What's going on, man? What have you been up to here lately?
A lot of travel, which has been great. I've been doing college baseball. I've been going down to Austin, Texas, and through ESPN, working the Longhorn Network, and done a handful of series, and it's been a lot of fun. Getting ready for this weekend, going back down to Texas, and doing a series for Dallas Baptist and Indiana State in the Missouri Valley, and both teams, end of the year, fighting for first place and fighting for that top seed in the tournament in a couple of weeks.
What is college baseball like, man? Because I always wondered that. You know, like you got these weekend tournaments, and you know, I'm sure Major League Baseball. I mean, it's got to be different, obviously. But what's that like with college and the whole stipulation there? And I don't know. Just give me your take on that.
Well, years in minor league baseball, you know, it's day in, day out. You know, you're doing 140 games in less than 150 days, and you've got a day off every 10 or 15 days. I can compare it for you in the sense of when I've been doing college baseball in recent years, where you go in for a weekend series and you do one game. So it's almost like you're prepping for a football game. You're doing one game, right, and you want to get everything in. But this year, with the opportunity of doing a full weekend series in the Big 12, or, you know, Texas playing out of conference like they did against Xavier a few weeks back, you're going in and you're doing an entire series. So I can go back to the hotel room on a Friday night and say, you know what, I didn't use that note I wanted to use tonight, but I can certainly get it in on Saturday or Sunday. Whereas when you're just doing one game of series, you're just trying to cram everything into 9 innings and what could be a 3-hour, 50-minute game.
What's preparation like? I mean, because I know how much it takes when I'm doing football and basketball, and I'm starting to kind of dial it back a little bit because I don't think people want to hear as much as, you know, we think they want to hear. But then baseball, we know how there's gaps and you can chill out and you don't have to talk every second. But I almost would be in fear of like not having enough, right? I mean, or do you go into every game kind of laying out a little bit what you want to talk about each inning? Because, you know what I mean? It's a little bit more structured, you know? Hey, top of the first, bottom of the first, top of the second, bottom of the second. You know, you don't know what the hell's going to happen in football, you know, or basketball.
Exactly. And, you know, in a baseball game this weekend, there were games that were LSU and Ole Miss. They both scored 20-plus runs. Then you can have a 1-0 game that's over in 2.5 hours. I think, like you said, this is my 4th year doing college baseball, and you can't have everything. You certainly rely on the analysts, and if you're going outside of the conference to talk big picture, then you're going to hit on some bullet points here and there. But for the most part, you're going to be in the game. And like you said, I've learned where you sort of everything is structured. You can map things out as to where you want to go. Between innings, you can discuss, you know, okay, we got 3, 4, and 5, second time through the lineup. Where do we want to go with the analyst? Right. We've got middle, you know, in the 4th inning, you're sort of setting up where, okay, we're going to talk to the 2 head coaches, or you might have a player from the day before, and you can sort of hit on some storylines that you're going to delve in a little bit deeper and get their thoughts on in the next half inning, which has been a lot of fun. And then you could sort of get their reaction in the next half inning. So you never have everything. I think I've learned the biggest thing is kind of condense the 80 pages of game notes that you get and all those different numbers. And, you know, you rely on your stat guy for the numbers and you tell stories. I've been very fortunate working with 2 guys with the Longhorn Network this year, Greg Swindell and Keith Moreland, 2 former big leaguers, Texas legends. And, you know, we just get into storytelling and they let me go in the direction, you know, that I might go in a different direction because, you know, a guy like Lo Galindo, who's been with them for years, might have glossed over a story, but maybe I can hit it from a different angle with guys like that.
Right. Yeah, you got to – I mean, baseball, you can almost get away with some of the crazy numbers and stuff because that's what you expect, you know. But in basketball, when I see that in the notes where it's like, Steve is scoring 12.2 points, 3.7 rebounds, and 1.4 assists in his last 5 games. Like, get the hell out of here. Like, I don't want to hear that. Like, you know, where the hell does that match up or relate, and it's just noise like to the fans. But hey, more importantly, where are the fun spots to hang out? Like, do you guys go out to dinner and chill when you got some time? What's the best city? Like, what's the best city in doing college baseball?
Right now, I'm partial to Austin because I've been there 4 times this year, and it's a phenomenal. It's a phenomenal area. I mean, I was down there. Let's see. I was down there in February for their alumni game. It was they've got the South by Southwest concert, which is huge. I mean, Austin is a music city. Their slogan is "Keep Austin Weird," which is great for my youngest son because he's a self-proclaimed weirdo. So it's a lot of tie-dye. It's but they call it sort of the Silicon Valley of Texas. A lot of businesses are going down there. It's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Going to Dallas this weekend. If you're in Texas, Michael, the place to go is Papacitos. It's one of my favorite restaurants that I've gone to on the road. But this weekend, going back to Dallas, you remember the name Bob Bacozzi, long time at ESPN. Oh, yeah. Bob retired from the radio side a few years ago, and it was a secondhand story, but I caught it, and I brought it up to him after I had heard it, and he said, you know what, I'm going to go back in retirement. I'm going to go to Duke, and I'm going to walk the campus in Durham, and I'm going to visit Durham, and I'm going to go to these different places. And, downtime this weekend, you know what it's like. Going down to Austin, Greg and Keith are guys who are, that's their home. They're not in the hotel just like us. They're going home for the night. So, you're sort of on your own, and there's a lot of downtime. So this weekend, I'm going to do a little sightseeing, do the JFK Museum, from the Book Depository, go to the George W. Bush Library, hopefully. I say these things now, but, that's the one. That's what I'm hoping to do. But, it is. I'd rather do it now and go see places and, have that hour or two to go do something and be a tourist somewhere and learn something about an area. Take Bob's advice and do it now rather than, waiting until after you're retired and maybe don't have those opportunities.
Yeah, no, I hear what he's saying, though, because, when you are there, you're working, it's funny because everybody does, see where you're going and they think, oh, wow, this must be awesome. Like, did you go to this? Did you do that? You're like, no, I was doing the broadcast. It's like there's always so much time. You almost do want to go back when you are not working, so you can really, really enjoy it. But you're right. You can get a couple things in, but it's not party central,
Right. Yeah. A couple of years ago, I did the Stanford Regional, and I'm in Palo Alto, and I've got a 45-minute car ride to see the Pacific Ocean, and I never got there. It was 2 games in a day. You go back, you get ready for the next day, and you do that for 3 and maybe a 4th day if there's a game 7, and it's hotel, ballpark, restaurant, hotel, ballpark, back to the hotel, and you eat where you can, and you figure out your time and what you got to do to get ready for the next day in your prep.
Are you doing better than me eating on the road this year? Because I've gained like 25 pounds, and I'm really ticked off about it. Like,
now you know how I feel in life.
Yeah, I see. You were ahead of me and all this kind of stuff. Like, you had your kids before me. You got, you're on the road. You kind of have battled through some of this stuff to understand, right? I'm just kind of getting used to it now.
Yeah, I think again, you try to stay away from the ballpark food. You try to, breakfast. Well, stay away from all the sugar at the breakfast in the hotel in the morning, because that's basically all it is. Whatever you're gonna eat or drink, there's sugar involved. You try to stay away from that as best as possible. I carry fruits with me as much as possible. Some sort of kind bar or something. And then with these trips, I've sort of gotten into the routine of, after day 3 is over, that's when I'm going to go and enjoy a meal somewhere. And that's where I'm going to go and, find that nice restaurant, whether it's one of the food channels that, hey, they've been in this town. You can Google all that stuff. You can go on their websites. And, I've got 70 different restaurants. There's a great one for you. I got in Austin on the last day. I'm sitting at the bar at a restaurant. It's packed. And they're like, you're one person, go sit at the bar. So I did. I got talking to a guy, and he actually was watching the games that weekend, so he recognized me. He's like, yeah, I watched the games the whole weekend. So, fortunately, he had some nice things to say. Then this girl and her party of 4 or 5 girls sits down with us, and we're, the guy and I are going over restaurants. She gives me a list of other restaurants in Austin. So I looked them all up, and they were outside of my price range. But, maybe if I can put all 3 days of my per diem together one day, I can go back to one of them.
Well, that's it.
It's also just, getting involved in those conversations outside of, your sport or what you're doing. But, people would, once they kind of find out about that too, they sort of want to talk to you about what you're doing. And, again, I have nothing but good things to say about Austin. I've been fortunate to be able to go down there a handful of times and, I know how to get to the hotel. I know how to get to, I know how to drive the city a little bit. I found some fun spots to revisit.
I had a guy ask me for my autograph this year on my.
There you go.
Yeah, I had. So I'm like, wow, this is cool. So I literally, literally went over to like CVS or whatever, had a picture printed out, signed it, and sent it to him. And he was
there you go. Like, so, I haven't gotten that in a long time, but I used to get that on the minor league buses, where you kind of go on and off as they're loading the bus up on the last game of the series, and you're heading out of town to go either back home or to another town or city, and there's be a little guy there and the dad be there. And I kind of walked by him a few times, and he put it out there, and I just vividly remember a couple of different instances. And the guy's like, finally, like, hey, will you sign this? I'm like, I wasn't ignoring you. I didn't realize what you were doing. I'm like, I'm not a player. I'm not a coach. I'm just the radio guy. And oh, okay. And he'd describe that and explain it to his son, and there'd be an understanding that I wasn't trying to be a jerk.
Right. No, that's good. Yeah. No. Yeah. You go with the program. Because no, I want to go back to that comment you made about the sugar there. It's like, so you have. Do you drink coffee? You drink coffee, right?
I drink iced coffee. It's my wife. They screwed up our order the other day. She got a coffee just like mine, and it was pure sugar. I mean, it was just sweet and light.
Yeah. So wait a minute. Like, so you drink iced coffee. So how do you take your iced coffee?
Usually some sort of flavoring. Hazelnut seems to be my flavor right now. I've gone away from the French vanilla and there's another one I was having there.
It goes back and forth,
right? So hazelnut, cream one, sweet and low.
Yeah, you get tired of one, you go back to the other.
Exactly. Yep. So,
okay.
A lot of times when I'm at home now, though, I'll just get it black, and we've got the sweetener at home, and at that point, I don't need anything else. Just a quick splash.
When everybody gives me a hard time about it, and it's like when I probably put in like 3 sugars, right? Maybe
wow.
If it's a large. No, hey, that's how Dunkin' Donuts makes it. You're familiar up there, man. There's a ton of DD, right? You go to Dunkin' Donuts. And if you order a medium, it comes with 3 and 3. It's like 3 milk or cream or whatever you want, little squirts of it, whatever, and then 3 sugar. And I don't know if it's like a complete packet or what, but that's the standard, make of it. And you can go up or down if you don't want that. Like I order on the app. So when I go to get coffee at other places and people see me, they see me putting the sugar in, like 3 sugar or sometimes 4 if it's large. And like, oh, yeah, want any coffee with your sugar? I'm like, listen, you know how much sugar is in a can of Coke? Like, do people ever understand that? I don't think they do. Like, if you have Coke or Pepsi or any of those drinks or anything from the iced tea, right, from the Wawas or whatever, at a convenience store, Coke has 65 grams of sugar. And Pepsi, same thing. That is like putting 13 packs of sugar in your drink. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I'm doing like 3 or 4. Like, so if people ever understand like what they're drinking,
are you trying to help me justify, or are you getting me to help justify your intake? Because it's still a lot.
Exactly. But listen, there's 4 grams of sugar in 1 packet of sugar, and if you have 65 grams in a can of Coke, like I said, do the math. I mean, what is it? It's like close to 13 packs of sugar. I mean, it's crazy. Join our friends from the Delaware Kids Fun and Harvey Hanna and Associates for the 10th annual Delaware Kids Fun 5K in Newport, Delaware on Saturday, August 3rd. Join me and the rest of the crew as we help fight childhood hunger in Delaware for over 10 years now. For full info, visit dekidsfun.org. You drink a lot of Coke or Pepsi, or am I taking you off of that?
Oh, please! It's like my wife and my doctor are both looking at me right now somehow through this conversation. You know what? I do, and the best thing we've done is, as parents, my wife and I think I can count on one hand between our 2 sons how many sodas they've had in their lifetime. One's 9, one's 11. It's the one thing that I'm adamant that they stay away from. You go to the movie theater, they drink water. Now we go to restaurants, we'll have, they just want the water. And soda is the worst thing. I go in drives. I can go 12, 14 days. Then I'm on the road, and it's like my body just craves it. And unfortunately with me, it's not, hey, you're going to have a soda. No, I'm going to probably have 3, within 2 hours. And that's, now do the math, 65 grams of sugar times 3. And then I wonder why I'm up at 4 o'clock in the morning, waiting to go to the ballpark the next day.
Yeah, I wish I could get up as early as that. I mean, I got to get up earlier. I mean, it's hard. It's hard sometimes. I think. I mean, this when you had your kids are growing a little bit more now. I got the 6-month-old, and we're getting better. She's sleeping through the night, which is good.
There you
But
go.
still, if you don't get to bed till late, right, or you get up early. I mean, I don't. I guess I didn't realize how much that really affects you nowadays. Like right back in the day, we were like superheroes. 20s, 30s. It didn't matter how much sleep you got or not. You didn't have to like try to recover for a week or two. It's ridiculous.
Right. Yeah, no, it's a dynamic that I'm taking or paying more attention to now. I go out on Friday, just as an example this weekend, I'll go out on Friday, I leave at 5 in the morning. The plane to Philadelphia from New Haven is 6 to 7. I'm into Dallas around 10:30. I'm going to, do a handful of things. I'm not going to be able to go to the hotel. I'm going to be out and about, being a tourist, then go to the ballpark that night. I mean, this is a different trip this weekend, but just kind of giving the idea of, go to the ballpark. So it's 5 o'clock, then as we're not always in the Eastern time zone. All of a sudden you're on the road and, it's, on my computer clock doesn't change, but my phone clock will change. And, it's, I've got another hour of prep, but your body's telling you it's 2 o'clock in the morning, not 1 o'clock in the morning. And then, what I've been doing is traveling out the next morning. And if I get back to the hotel at 11 o'clock, is my alarm going to go off at 5? I don't know. It's always gone off before, but I might miss my plane. So then then I'm up all night, then I'm up all day. And then, Monday becomes recovery day.
The Seinfeld situation where you call the front desk and get the wake up call. Like you gotta have it back to get the wake up call. Right?
It's hilarious on how often I think of that episode anytime I'm in a hotel room when I got to get up the next morning. I don't trust anything that if I need to be up at 5 and I'm up at 4:15 and I just happen to look at the clock, I'm up at that point in time. I'm not going to risk 45 minutes more of sleep. It's not going to help.
That episode was the best. Like, what was he going through? He like cycled through a couple things. Like, was it the on off? It's like, no, was it the on off? It's like, was it the AM PM? It's like, no, was it the AM PM? It was the volume. You're like, oh, the volume, right? That's why he didn't get up. It's so many factors, dude. Like, I almost like when I have done that, call the front desk and ask for a wake up call. I'm like thinking, are they like thinking this guy's a complete dork? Like, who does this anymore, right?
Yeah, exactly. You don't have that ability in your room to figure out your phone. Yeah. You can't hear the phone vibrating off of the nightstand.
Hey, it's happened though to me a couple times. If you don't you go back to the setting, like you got to make sure it's either turned on or it's not. You had hit it off, and you just assume it's going to go off again the next morning at 7. I always delete it and like redo it again. Just to make sure, you got to do that.
If by chance there's any 23, 27-year-old young guys just out of college thinking, I'm listening to this, and what are these two 40-year-old guys talking about? Right. And I do have a couple of years on Mike, but you've hit 40 finally, right?
Yeah, finally.
So they're thinking that would never happen to me, but yeah.
Well,
live life and find out.
Oh man, it's so ridiculous, right? Because like I'm talking to some of the kids from the student radio station at UMass where I went to school, and trying to help them out a little bit, and it's like I had to say to them, oh yeah, we didn't really have email too much back then, or social media. Obviously, was not. I mean, seriously, it was 20 years ago. It doesn't feel 20 years ago. You almost think like, are you kidding me? And it's like I have to speak like I'm an 80-year-old. Like, no, we didn't have the internet. We didn't have a phone. We didn't have all. I mean, that's how quickly in the last 5-10 years. You know what I mean? It makes you sound so friggin' old, and it's like, how am I talking to them like this? Like we didn't use email or anything like that. Like what?
Yeah.
Like it was just going. Like it was just getting 95.
Where I've felt bad about myself recently. There's no need for my laptop anymore. I mean, when I've done college basketball the last 2 winters, I have my laptop because they don't give you the monitor. If they have the monitor where they've got the stats, that's fine. But most of the times I've got to I've got to log in to get my stats. But in baseball, again, it's so slow. It's so slow, and you can get to things, and then the dead air and the pictures telling the story that works. I'm on my phone, and these guys are both my analysts are 15, 20 years older than even I am. They're both in their 60s, and I'm on my phone, and I'm thinking to myself, do they think I'm texting right now? No, I'm actually looking at notes, or I'm on the team website, looking at a reliever's bio, rather than going to the game notes or anywhere. It's just anything I need is day by day is right there. So I'm just going off my phone now, and it's like I found gold. But young guys are already doing this, I'm sure.
Sure. No, and and I still got to have some stuff typed out and written out in front of you, because if you have to go to your phone and you can't find something, you got to scroll through. Like I explored it. It was basically for like one game. We're trying to bring like a tablet or something to the game. Like, oh, I'll just use this, and I'll go find what I need. And it's like, I don't. It just didn't work for me. You know what I mean? I have to have stuff kind of like where I could just cipher through it real quick, like in front of me with like papers.
Yep, and everyone is different. That's I always like guys who do baseball like looking at other guys' scorecards and seeing how they keep score of a game and stuff like that. It's having that information there immediately right in front of you. I keep blue cards now in front of me, just little index cards, and I'll write something down. I mean, those 4 or 5 notes that you want to keep hitting. I'll even throw a check mark on them now, where it's okay, I've hit that once. I'm going to hit it again. I'm going to revisit it in a few minutes, because that's what that's the main storyline that. If somebody's just sitting down on their couch, what's going on here? What do I need to know as the viewer, as the listener, and why am I staying here? Well, this is those are the 3, 4, 5 bullet points that we continue to hammer home.
Yeah, it's a good call. It's a good call. Hey, well, of course, you and I met, way back in Delaware when you were doing minor league baseball, and I was doing the Blue Hens on the radio. So, like,
yep.
You ever been back? Have you talked to anybody there? What's it been like? I know it's been a while. Of course, like I said, I feel like it's a couple years ago, and it was like 15.
Yeah, it's funny. We met. You got the job. I was down there as a seasonal hire in 1999, and the radio station got the Delaware rights for what? Your first year was 2000.
99.
Yeah, and then I came back in 2001, and I think the biggest thing now is just remembering the names and thinking back to people that we got into this 30 seconds ago, and the first name I think of is Dan Doyle. And what a genuine genuine person Dan was to us, and still is, I'm sure, to this day. And if we ended up talking, whether it was Facebook, we just had a little conversation or something, it'd be like we saw each other 3-4 days ago, rather than years and years ago at this point. But getting to Delaware, starting in '99, went back in 2001, ended up leaving in 2010, and never in 1999 would I have thought, okay, when you leave here eventually, you're going to bring, your 2 kids are going to be Delaware natives. And that's kind of how I look at my children once in a while now. And, last summer I did the Senior League World Series for ESPN down in Easley, South Carolina. And Naaman's Little League from Delaware was in the championship game. So a lot of the families were at the hotel that I stayed at, and Grotto Pizza. They had a viewing party, and we showed video from there, and it brought back some great memories from that time.
That's cool. What year was that when they were in that was the Little League World Series, right?
No, this was I forget what year they were Little League, but this was the senior. So this was 13 to 17 on the championship game last year. But I mean, that program, Naaman's Road, we know the road well, and we know the businesses on there. But that Little League has a great history to it.
That's cool. No, I'm with you. Like, and the people, you mentioned Dan too. He's the best. I still go to like a Flyers game and a Phillies game with him once a year. Like he's so cool with that. He'll always call me to be like, hey, because we go to like one game a year, and it's like I really, really enjoy that. So like that's the fun stuff. It's the people. And they say, oh, do you miss it? Do you miss Delaware? I'm like, yeah, because I miss like all the people and everybody that we hung out with, and on the radio, like just doing those games, like. You can't take away those memories. That was awesome.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah. Good. Where are you at? What about this summer? I guess I should say. What's going on summer-wise? Do you like to go to any baseball? Considering you do so much of it, or do you get a chance to go? Or are you like, what are your plans for the summertime?
Work. More work, finding more work, and hopefully be traveling for some different baseball things. I would like to get out, whether it's minor league ballparks or the Yankees and Mets aren't that far away from where we're at in Connecticut. The Red Sox are a little bit north. I would like to get to more games. We actually went to a UConn game at Dunkin' Donuts Park in Hartford this year, which is a minor league ballpark, a AA facility, and it's fantastic. And those are the fun ones because you're there. It's not a packed day, and you just get to sit and watch baseball. So my son and my father-in-law went. with me, and we just we watched. It ended up being a doubleheader because of weather. And it was a lot of fun just to go there and sit and watch. I made sure I kept my phone in my pocket and did that. And somebody told me, and you'll like this because you're a Red Sox fan. One of the first years we're up here in Connecticut, the Cape Cod League had its All-Star game at Fenway, and we actually talked about it this weekend because the first and only time my son ever got a foul ball. But it wasn't Fenway for a Red Sox game that's packed out and you're sitting in your seat and you're scrunched in there. It was you're stretched out a little bit. It's 5,000 people in the lower bowl. We're on the third base side, and we're having fun. And nowadays you go to the games and there's so much to do. You're going there as a fan. I like to watch, of course, but I went to a Met game a few years ago with my sons, and a batter in the Met lineup hit 3 home runs, and I'd have to take your word for it because the first one we're at the concession stand, the second one we're in the second one we're in the restroom, the third one we're out hitting wiffle balls. No, actually, the second one we're in the restroom. The first one we're out hitting wiffle balls, in the kids area. The third one we're driving home, and he hits the home run in the 9th inning. So, you do see it from a different perspective. And you go to games now, it's about the kids and having fun and. Even just socializing with, my wife and I go with friends. It's, okay, yeah, the game you're watching, but, you're there to have a couple of drinks, maybe walk around, see the facility and, just hang out.
Yep, it's definitely different. Well, I used to go to the Red Sox all the time. My parents would take us as kids, me and my brother, and we'd head out there. And then inevitably it'd be like it was like a 2-hour drive from Brattleboro, Vermont, where I grew up, to Fenway. But my dad every time it'd be like the 7th inning, all right, let's go. Like it was either they were always we had to drive home. Like he's very notorious for like let's just get going. And it's hilarious. And I'm like, Dad, every time of course they didn't really make too many comebacks back then. And that's the thing. Like people give me a hard time about being a Boston fan. Remember when the Red Sox stunk? You know what I mean? Like remember when they were like in last place every year? They're terrible. They weren't doing anything. Like we battled through that. Like same thing with the Patriots. Like I know because where the Patriots are at today. But man, I went to old Foxborough Stadium, again from Vermont in high school. My buddy driving there to that crappy stadium in the cornfield or whatever on Route 1, and like they were terrible and nobody gave a crap, And it's like I don't mind being like I'm a diehard and along, from when I grew up a Patriots fan. Like everybody hates that or me, but because they like me, they go, oh, okay, I'll like you. My neighbor's like, you're the only Patriots fan I like. And it's just the way it is. But I'm not a fair weather fan, so I don't have to worry about it. You know what I mean? It's not like it just started because they were good. We dealt with all that crap for years.
Yeah, 1984, 85. My mom, we came over to Connecticut to visit family from Long Island. We went up to a Red Sox game in April, and you know exactly what kind of miserable night that was. We're above we're 20 rows up above the first base dugout. Nobody's around us. All of a sudden, we see 2 guys to the left of us, far away. They're coming, they're between aisles. They're picking up hot dog wrappers and and soda cups. And we look over there. They've got a fire started at their feet to stay warm. That couldn't happen today at Fenway Park. But people are like, really? Fenway's always been sold out. No, there were times actually when the Red Sox weren't good in the 1980s, and on a Wednesday night in the middle of April, only lunatics were there, and we happened to be them. Nobody was above the dugout, and I couldn't tell you who played. After a while, we were collecting the trash, and we had a nice little fire going. We stayed warm.
Don't you love the stuff that like happened back then that like, you hear and you're like, are you kidding me? Like it's not even close. It's not even like anywhere near any of that would fly today. I mean, it's completely Yeah, I mean, it's nuts. Like, I mean, God bless my, mother or my mother and father-in-law, because they're here a lot, helping to watch our baby Delaney. And, I asked him because we were putting the car seat like in the car. We had to get it all ready, I got to clip it in. And, they didn't let you leave the hospital, obviously, today when your baby's born, unless that's 100% perfect. It's ready to go, I was like, he's like, man, this is a lot of work. I'm like, I know. I'm like, well, what did you guys do back then? He's like, I had, Stephanie in my right hand, and I was driving in the left. I'm like, what? I'm like, you kidding me? I'm like, yeah. They were like, put him in the seat or hold on to him. I'm like, oh my God. Like, but that's what happened. There wasn't any like, you had to have a car seat back. Like, and you're beyond yourself. Like, you're like, you can't even fathom that. Like,
yeah. Mom or dad
My gosh.
Mom or dad slammed on the brakes. You were in the front seat with them.
Yeah, I mean it's unreal. It's unreal. But well, hey, Lan, I'd say it's great catching up with you, and looking forward to seeing you at some point when I get up to Connecticut there. So
please do. Pizza's on me, and we'll get together.
Yeah.
Tell Brian I said hello, and thanks so much for having me on.
I will. You're the man. All right, Lenox. Talk to you. On and Off the Mic is brought to you by Dr. Michael Axe and the team at First State Orthopedics. Dr. Axe and his staff is an outstanding group that I've known for over 20 years. They have top docs that are nationally known, 21 specialized surgeons providing the best care for you and your family. Visit firststateortho.com. Thanks for listening to On and Off the Mic. I'm Mike Corey. Make sure you hit the subscribe button so you don't miss another episode. And you can follow my travels all year long on social media on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Mike Corey Sports.